Hi, my name is Bibek Adhikari. I am an English instructor. In today's class, we are going to solve the grammar portion of Unit 8, that is the conditional. So, let's begin. Right, in this class, we will now learn about the grammar portion of Unit 8, which is called the conditionals. Conditional tenses are used to speculate about what could happen, what might have happened, and what we wish would happen. In English, most of the sentences using the conditional contain the word if. Many conditional forms in English are used in sentences that include verbs in one of the past tenses. So we have verbs in one of the past tenses. This usage is referred to as the unreal past, because we use a past tense but we are not actually referring to something that happened in the past. There are 5 main ways of constructing conditional sentences in English. In all cases, these sentences are made up of an if clause and a main clause. In many negative conditional sentences, there is an equivalent sentence construction using unless. Right? We'll study about all these things in detail. So we'll study about if clauses and main clauses and the use of unless, and also we will know why verbs in one of the past tenses is often called the unreal past, because we are in fact not talking about the past tense. We are only using the verbs in one of the past tenses, but in fact we are referring to the present condition, the present tense, right? That's why it's called unreal past. So let's study about this in detail. First of all, let's do a quick review before we start, because you may have already known what conditional sentences are based on your knowledge or your grammar skills from lower classes, but let's just review. So let's start from types and the uses. First one we have is called gerotype, and it is used when we talk about general truths. The second one that we have is called type 1, and type 1 is used when we talk about a possible condition and its probable result, right? Then comes type 2. Type 2 is used when we talk about a hypothetical condition and its probable result, right? Gero, type 1, type 2. So we have 2 more types, type 3 and mixed type. So let's review, Then we will study about each type in detail. Then comes type 3. In type 3, we talk about an unreal past condition and its probable result in the past. So we talk about an unreal past condition and its probable result in the past. Then comes the mixed type. In mixed type, we study about an unreal past condition and its probable result in the present. Right? This is what the mixed type is all about. Now let's study about each type in detail, right? Starting from the gero conditional. First topic that we have today is called the gero conditional. The gero conditional is used for when the time being is referred is now or always. When we talk about now or always, so we use gero conditionals. And the situation is real and possible. How is the situation? The situation is real and possible. Situation is real and possible. The gero conditional is often used to refer to general truths. The tense in both parts of the sentence is the simple present. In gero conditional sentences, the word if can be usually replaced by the word when without changing the meaning. So we'll see how that is done. So we have an if clause followed by a main clause, or just the opposite. Sometimes we have a main clause followed by an if clause. Let's write an example. If you heat ice, we need a comma, it melts. If you heat ice, it melts. Let's write another example. If it rains, the grass gets wet. If it rains, the grass gets wet. So the structure is something like this. If plus simple present, and here we have simple present again. Simple present. Pretty easy, right? The structure follows this simple rule. If plus simple present in if clause and followed by simple present in main clause. If you heat ice, simple present, right? If you heat ice, V1, it melts, V5. If it rains, V5, the grass gets wet, V5. So simple present followed by simple present. Pretty easy, right? So let's go to another type. Type 1 conditionals. Now we come to another type which is called type 1 conditional. The type 1 conditional is used to refer to the present or future. And the situation is real. What kind of situation? We have a real situation. So if you remember type 0, the 0 conditional, the time is now or always, and the situation is real and possible. But in type 1 conditionals, the conditionals you see, the time frame is present or sometimes future, and the situation is real. So type 1 conditional refers to a possible condition and its probable result. Possible condition, probable result. In these sentences, the if clause is in simple present and the main clause is in the simple future. So let's see how that is done. So we have if clause followed by a main clause, right? We have an if clause followed by a main clause. So the basic structure here is if plus simple present, and in the main clause we have simple future. So let's write some examples and you'll be very clear. This grammar topic is the easiest one. If you don't hurry, you will miss the bus. And other example, if it rains today, you will get wet, right? So if plus simple present followed by simple future. If plus simple present again or V1. Here we have a V5 followed by simple future. So simple will plus V1, right? So this is the basic structure. If plus simple present followed by simple future in the main clause. Don't forget the comma. So if the main clause is used in the front side, so we don't need to use the comma, right? So that is type 1 conditional. Now, what is the big difference between type 0 conditional and type 1 conditional? That is my question. Think about it. The biggest difference between type 0 conditional and type 1 conditional is in the 0 conditional, in the main clause, we have the simple present, right? But in the type 1 conditional, in the main clause, we have simple future, correct? That makes all the difference because in type 1 conditionals, we are talking about present and future. But in type 0 conditional, we always talk about here and now. Does that make any sense? It does, right? So let's go to another type. Now we have the type 2 conditionals. The type 2 conditional is used to refer to a time that is now or any time. So it is either now or any time. Does not matter what time, now or any time. And a situation that is unreal. What kind of situation? We are talking about unreal situation. We are no longer talking about real situations. We are talking about unreal situations. These sentences are not based on fact. We're not talking about facts and figures. We are talking about logic. The type 2 conditional is used to refer to a hypothetical condition. What condition? Hypothetical condition. And its probable result. Hypothetical condition, probable result. In type 2 conditional sentences, the if clause uses the simple past and the main clause uses the present conditional. So we'll see how that is done. So we have two parts, like always. We have an if clause and a comma and followed by a main clause, right? So let's write the structure. So in the if clause, the structure is if plus simple past followed by present conditional, or sometimes present continuous conditional. So if you don't know what that means, no need to worry, I'll teach you, right? Let's write one example. If it rained, you would get wet. If it rained, you would get wet. So rained is simple past called V2, and would get wet is present conditional. What is it called? Present conditional. It is would plus V1, that is the present conditional, right? So if clause followed by main clause. If it rained, you would get wet, but it didn't rain, so you didn't get wet. It is now or any time. So it can rain now or it can rain anytime in future. So it is now or future, right? So it can rain right now. Who knows about the weather? So it can rain maybe at 2 o'clock in this afternoon, or it can rain in the evening. We don't know about that. So if it rained, given that it rained, you would get wet. That's why carry an umbrella, something like that. So it is very unreal. It is not happening right now. It is not a real situation. It's very hypothetical, but it is likely to happen. It can happen, right? If it rained, you would get wet. That means chances of raining is pretty high, right? So let me write you more examples of type 2. Some of the examples are, if I spoke Italian, I would be working in Italy. If I spoke Italian, I would be working in Italy. If you went to bed earlier, you would not be so tired. If you went to bed earlier, you would not be so tired. Let's underline. If I spoke Italian V2, I would be working in Italy. So it is would plus V1 and we have another VING. If you went V2 to bed earlier, you would not be so tired. So would plus not plus V1 is used. This is called present conditional, right? So V2 in the if clause, comma, and followed by present conditional in the main clause. That's the rule. And I guess the rule is pretty easy, right? It is easy. Tell me it's easy. It's very easy. Now let's go to the third type of conditional. Type 3 conditional. Type 3 conditionals. The third type 3 conditionals. The type 3 conditional is used to refer to a time in the past. So in the past, keep that in mind, in the past. And a situation that is contrary to reality. So the situation that is opposite to reality. So we'll talk about a situation that is opposite to reality. Whenever we use type 3 conditionals, we are talking about the past. We are no longer talking about here and now, always now. We are no longer talking about present time. So we are always talking about the past. And the situation is opposite to reality. It is something that cannot be, done in the present time. So we are talking about opposite to reality. So keep that in mind. The facts that are based on are the opposite of what is expressed. The type 3 conditional is used to refer to an unreal past condition and its probable past result. So we have unreal past condition followed by its probable past result. So in type 3 conditional sentences, the if clause uses past perfect and the main clause uses the perfect conditional. Sounds good? So let's write that and you'll understand what that means. In if clause, what do we have in if clause? In if clause, we have if plus past perfect. And then we need the quoted comma followed by the main clause. And in the main clause, we need perfect conditional or perfect continuous. Perfect continuous conditional. Perfect continuous conditional. So let's write some examples. If it had rained, comma, you would have gotten wet. So we have past perfect here. Had plus V3 followed by would plus have plus V3 followed by would plus have plus V3. So this had plus V3 is called past perfect, whereas would have plus V3 is called perfect conditional. What is it called? It is called perfect conditional, right? So it is called perfect conditional. Pretty easy. So let me write some more examples of type 3 sentences. If you had studied harder, comma, you would have passed the exam. So let me write another example too. If I had accepted that promotion, comma, I would have been working in Kathmandu. These are two examples, so let's analyze these examples. If you had studied harder, that is had plus V3, you would have passed the exam, so would have plus V3 again. If I had accepted that promotion, had plus V3 followed by I would have been working, so we have been plus VING or a V4. So the first one is called perfect conditional and the second one is called perfect continuous conditional. It is called perfect conditional. I'm writing PC. It is called perfect continuous conditional, PCC. So the first one is called perfect conditional once again, and the second one is called perfect continuous conditional. So had plus V3 in the if clause followed by would have plus V3 in the main clause, or sometimes would have plus been plus V4 or VING in the main clause, right? Now let's go to the last type. What is it? The mixed type. Oh, the dreaded mixed type. Mixed type conditionals. The mixed type conditional is used to refer to a time that is in the past. Again, in the past. We are talking about the past. And the situation is that is ongoing into the present. So in mixed type conditionals, we talk about a time that is in the past and something, the situation is ongoing into the present. The facts, they are based on the opposite of what is expressed. The mixed type conditional is used to refer to an unreal past condition and its probable result in the present. In mixed type conditional sentences, the if clause uses the past perfect and the main clause uses the present conditional. So it is the mix of type 1 and type 2. Simply put together, it is the mix of type 3 in if clause and type 2 in main clause. We'll see how that is done. So we have if clause, comma, followed by our main clause. In the if clause, the sentence could be something like this. So let me write a sentence first and we can, infer the rule from there. If we had looked at the map, comma, we wouldn't be lost, right? So if we had looked, so we have had plus V3. We wouldn't be lost. We have would plus V1 again. So say simply, this is like we have type 3 here and we have type 2 here, right? So it is a mix of type 3 and type 2. Like I said earlier, in the if clause we have type 3, in the main clause we have type 2. And why is this sentence used? Why can't we simply say if we had looked at the map, we would not have been lost? But that would be unreal situation, you see. We are talking about ongoing into the present. Something happened in the past and its effect is seen in the present. You didn't look up at the map and that's why you're lost. So you say something like this: if we had looked at the map, we wouldn't be lost, but you sadly hadn't no time to look at the map and you got lost. If we had looked at the map, we wouldn't be lost. That is the mixture of type 3 and type 2. I'm repeating it once again. And it is called the mixed type. Let me write some more examples of mixed type. This is another example. Contradictory to the rule that I just taught you, it contains type 2 in if clause followed by type 3 in main clause. And this is also possible. Just let me tell you how this is possible. If you weren't afraid of spiders, you would have picked it up and put it outside. But the fact is you were in fact afraid of spiders. That's why you had no courage to pick them up and put them outside, right? So if you weren't afraid of spiders, you would have picked it up and put it outside. Simply, something is going on in present time, but it is highly unreal. Simply put, it is a mixture of, once again, I'm telling type 2 and type 3. The if clause may contain type 2 followed by type 3, or the if clause may contain type 3 followed by type 2. There's no hard and fast rule here. Type 2 plus type 3 is called mixed type. Type 2 plus type 3 is called the mixed type. That's all. Now that we have come to the end of today's class, I want to give you some homework, and your homework is going to be very simple. All you have to do is write a paragraph describing about your childhood dream. Use all the 4 types of conditionals, right? That's your homework. All you have to do is write a paragraph describing about your childhood dream. Maybe as a child you had one dream. Maybe you wanted to be a doctor, engineer, something else. Maybe a poet, a writer, a politician. I don't know. Your dream. So just write a paragraph describing about your childhood dream. You can use all the different types of conditionals that I taught you right now. So that's your homework. With this, we have come to end of today's class. If you have any questions or suggestions regarding this video series, do write us at learning@deerwalk.edu.np. Thank you.